Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. I'm so glad you've joined me this week. We're looking at Psalm 95 on Daily Dose Radio. And yesterday we did verses 1 and 2. Today we're going to look at verses 3 and 4. And what we have in 3 and 4 is what's called a key clause. The word key is used in the Hebrew, and it creates for us a causal statement. Because the Lord is a great God, then there are things that can be said regarding that. And actually sets up for us logically the next step in verses 6 and 7 for the covenant confession that's used there in 6 and 7. I also forgot yesterday to mention that in popular usage, John Michael Talbot has recorded this psalm on one of his albums. I think it's called Psalm Come Worship the Lord. So he doesn't record it as Psalm 95, but just as Psalm Come Worship the Lord. So if you have a moment, you can check out his music. I'm sure you can find it. John Michael Talbot, and he did this, I think it's in his Come to the Quiet album. Let me read verses 3, 4, and 5 today. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. In his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. The sea is his, and he made it, and his hand formed the dry land. All right, so we begin with, for the Lord is a great God. Now there's our key, translated for the Lord, and again we have the tetragrammaton here, just like we had in verse 1, let us sing unto the Lord, the rock of our salvation. Now, the Lord is a great God, and all that is now said about him in verses 4 and 5 tell us why he's a great God, because all this belongs to him. In his hands are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. The sea is his. He made it. His hands formed the dry land. Now, do you notice in 4 and 5 the wonderful chiastic structure there? In his hands are the deep places is how it begins in 4. And in 5 it ends with his hands formed the dry land. So we have hands doing something at the beginning and at the end. At the beginning, they're holding the deep places. At the end, they're forming the dry land. And in between, we have these statements of belonging. You know, the hills are his. The strength of the hills are his. The sea is his. He made it. And there is that action statement there in verse 5. He made it. Well, he made all of this. He is a great God. And because he's a great God, all these things belong to him, such as the deep places of the earth, the strength of the hills, the sea, the dry land. Everything you can see belongs to the Lord because he is a great God. So we have this beautiful key clause here. All this belongs to him because he is a great God and a great King above all gods. Now we saw the King enthroned. What psalm was that? Last psalm or the psalm before, we talked about his throne being firmly established in eternity. Well, here we come back to this idea of God being king, and he is in charge of and owner of all these things. Everything in creation, even to the deep places of the earth, places that we can't even see. The sea is his, the strength of the hills. So from the very heights of the mountains to the depths of the earth, all things belong to him. He made the sea, his hands formed the dry land. All of it belongs to the Lord. And that includes you and me. But now wait a minute, hold on to that thought, because tomorrow we're going to come back to verses 6 and 7 and look at this covenant confession there in 6 and 7, and we'll see something about his possession of the people. Okay, I hope you'll join me then on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.